Welcome to Guidelines of Borehole Heat Exchangers for Regulators and Policymakers. I will tell you more about the situation in Austria. So the main relevant legal framework for the use of borehole heat exchangers is given by the Water Rights Act for the first 300 meters. If drillings go down more than 300 meters, the Mineral Resources Act applies. In this presentation here, we stick to the Water Rights Act and stay above those 300 meters. There are two main permitting procedures, and in some areas you don't need a license at all. The state of the art is described in the guidelines ÖVAV-Regelblatt 207. And there are databases of existing installations which are organized on a federal level. This was a short general introduction. Now let's look into it in more detail. Starting with this Water Rights Act from 1959, it describes those two main procedures, where the licensing procedure is mandatory for all open systems. For borehole heat exchangers, this is a case-to-case decision. So in artesian and confined areas, as well as in specially protected areas, a notification procedure is required. Outside these mentioned areas, no license is required at all. What else is important from this Water Rights Act for borehole heat exchangers? Especially that the designation of protection areas and of artesian or confined areas is mandatory. The federal states have to outline those officially. Going into more detail for those two procedures. The first one includes a water rights hearing, and everyone who obtains this has a legal standing for parties in, for example, hearings of neighboring installations. There are mandatory conditions for construction and operation, and in the end, it results in an official water right. The permit is issued by a formal decision. So the notification procedure, it's a little bit similar to the licensing procedure, but without the hearing, and there is also no legal party standing. Furthermore, the conditions for construction and operation are self-imposed. And the biggest difference is that this is not an official water right. And also it is deemed approved automatically after 3 months, unless the authority states that a licensing procedure is necessary. This can be the case if an implication on existing water rights is to be expected. That's the most important legal framework given by the Water Rights Act. And the state of the art, which is referred to in this Water Rights Act, is actually described in this guideline ÖVAV-Regelblatt 207. So let's also have a look onto that one. It includes grounds for rejection, guidelines for planning. For example, it comes with an Excel-based dimensioning tool for installations. There are guidelines for the installation, monitoring, and decommissioning of a system. I have attached here the different grounds for rejection, a lot of text that you can also read later in detail. The most important parts are that in water protection areas 1 and 2, no installations are allowed, and in some conditions also not in water protection areas 3. The thermal impact of the installation must not extend into a protection zone number 2. It's also not allowed to restrict any existing water rights, and it's furthermore not allowed to drill into strong artesian or confined aquifers. As mentioned before, there are federally organized databases of existing installations. For open loop systems, I have to say that they are better because all of those systems need a license. I already showed you that this is different for the Bohr heat exchangers. And here you see a spatial distribution of the procedures necessary for the different areas. So this is a reason why not all of the installations are registered, especially if you look at the license-free areas. For sure, not all of the actually existing installations are registered. In general, getting information about the registers is time consuming because you have to ask all 9 federal states if you want to do this for whole Austria. Also, only a few parameters are documented. So actually harmonizing the procedure and the way of collecting a more complete and comprehensive data set of each installation would be really beneficial for market analysis, but also for analysis regarding the use of renewable resources. So that was the situation of Bohr heat exchangers from a legal point of view in Austria.